Hello. How is your evening? Hello, hello, hello. What is your favorite sport? What's good, people? What you up to? It is around midnight for me. Literally just catching up on top 14 rugby. Little bits that I missed, but I follow pretty much every single sport. Well, I follow as much sport as physically possible. So, what do you support? Who do you follow? What sport do you like to watch? Do you even like to watch sport? Hi. What are you guys doing right now? And biggest thing, do you follow any sport? Always ask me a question. That is why I'm here. Answer questions. What's up, guys? How are you? Me. If you see the hat, I'm South African. So I was born in South Africa, and I was raised partially in South Africa. But I've lived in England for many, many, many years. And I'm good. What can you do in the middle of the night? Well, you are obviously here, so have a chat with me. I'm open to anything. I am literally just here for conversation, really. I started this live about 5 minutes ago. I just jumped on. Everyone's in bed, so I get better time to have a chat. But yeah. Do you miss the load shedding? No. I'm not gonna lie, I bloody hate that shit. Yeah. South Africa is South Africa is very different. It's very, very different. So I'm not gonna lie. You see, I do like living in England, like quite a lot. There's a lot of things that you get in England that people struggle with in South Africa. But oh, the biltong, yeah, you don't get that. How old am I? I am 32. So yeah, I get another when I grow out my beard. People think I look a lot older, but when I'm completely shaven, people think I'm still in my 20s. But yeah, the biltong is the biltong is a difficult one. I miss like proper proper biltong is it's you don't find that you can get like South African shops that make it in house, but there's nothing like going to like your corner shops and just picking up some of the best biltong you'll ever find. Yeah, I do miss that. Lived your whole life in England, but my parents are from India. Hey, that's cool. Um, I like wherever you are, you pick up culture, you know, and like you probably can hear a bit of English in me, but yeah, it's I have a little bit of mixes of everything, you know. So I get a lot of people that say, you know, they can't quite figure out where my accent is from because I've picked up from because I've picked up from, you know, literally everywhere. Everywhere I go, you pick up little bits and pieces, you know. So, in when I lived in South Africa, um, I had some of my friends, which were, well, in South Africa, well, specifically in Cape Town, where I was raised. Um, you know, I had a lot of Afrikaans friends. I had a lot of um, white friends, Xhosa friends, I had colored friends. So a lot of what I grew up around was like so many different cultures and you know you know I'm very diverse in that aspect. Like even myself, you know, I'm from here, there, and everywhere. You know, so it's uh, it's nice. It's nice to have, and you know, it's always a nice conversation because, you know, sometimes I'll be speaking with people and they'll be wondering where the hell am I from? Because at certain points, like if I'm speaking to a South African, my South African just, you know, it pops out like there's no tomorrow. But when I'm speaking with the English, I don't even realize it, but my tone naturally becomes more English, you know, especially if it's like South London. But yeah. Uh, oh, thanks. Never really heard that my voice is relaxing to hear, but I guess that's a nice compliment. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna say no to that. Thank you. I'm gonna sub, don't tell it. Okay, okay. Don't worry, Hudson. I got you. I got you. You're on the down low. I got you. So tell me what you guys are doing, because right now I am trying to catch up on on as much rugby as I possibly can. There's so much rugby going around. I always lose it. Friend's cousin was shot in the hand during attempted hijacking a week ago in Johannesburg. You see, this is the thing. That's Johannesburg. That's Joburg for you. There are certain places that I never want to go, and if I ever go to Joburg, it's when I'm on like a layover going into Cape Town. You know, I don't even I don't even like to leave the airport. I actually had an experience where there was one time I left the airport, so I landed. So I took a flight to from British Airways, so England, on British Airways. I got to Joburg, and I had a night's layover. So I literally left as I was leaving the airport. I got a guy come to me saying, "Oh, well, let me help you with your bags. Let me help you with your bags." And I was like, "No." And the guy was so persistent, like really, really, really persistent. I was like, "No, no, no." And then I got out, got into my taxi, and I told my taxi driver this, and he's like, "Yeah, good thing you didn't do that because he would have taken your bags and run." You know, so I don't, no, I don't like Joburg. I really, really don't like Joburg. I keep to like where I know, right? Because I'm from Cape Town, but a lot of me was in Tableview, right? So I know Tableview. I know like the local areas and so on. But yeah, you know, it's just a completely different vibe as well. You know, when I speak with people from when I speak with people from Cape Town, they know exactly where I'm from. You know, like if I speak to someone from Cape Town, they can tell I'm South African the moment they speak with me. But if I speak to someone from like Durban, or if I speak to someone from like Joburg, or you know PE, wherever it is, they think I'm English. I don't know. It must be something about Cape Town and the way we speak. But yeah, from people that live in Cape Town, they know I'm from South Africa immediately. And then there's also the thing of the braai, right? Because again, this is something that I thought was like culturally, known around South Africa is you have your indoor braai section, right? So in the houses that I grew up in, you had an indoor braai section so that when it was cold or windy or whatever and you wanted to have a braai, you just, pop into the next room and, you're good to go. But when I speak to other people, they're like, nah, you know, that's not very common. So that kind of blew my mind. Um, but yeah, it's fun. I love speaking with people because there's so many different cultures that you pick up on, and certain things that I thought was you know common isn't. Your ears are huge. Yes, I am not gonna lie with you on that one. I have been told that before, but just gotta make the most of what you're given. You gotta make the most of what you're given. I have been blessed with giant bloody ears. I'll take it. I'm sure that there's a saying about something, people with big ears, along the same lines, people with big feet. But I'm not that lucky to have big feet. Is stress. Ah, I'll take your word for that one. Um, I won't say no. What is my favorite country? I'm gonna be very biased here. Well, top five. Uh, so for me, top five would probably be, again, me being a little bit biased because I know the area is South Africa, number one. There's so much you can do in South Africa if you know what to do. And yeah, so for me, South Africa would be number one. Then, personally, to probably be England, but again, depending on where you go. And again, because I lived in England for so long and I've traveled so much of England, I really, really do enjoy living in England. Because I'm from the Midlands and I love to go traveling. So, me and the missus, we have what are they called, national trust cards and things like that. So we love a bit of history, going to go see castles and so on. So we make regular trips to things like Great Yarmouth. We love to go up to Bournemouth, and you know we just like to travel as much. But there was one weekend, just out of the blue, because we wanted to go. I literally took a trip to Cornwall. Right now, I'm from Milton Keynes, so I don't know if you guys know Milton Keynes, but yeah, I'm from Milton Keynes, and yeah, it was a 5 hour drive. 5 hour drive. We literally just went there for a day. So we got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, went out for the day. Came back early that same night, just because. Hey, why not? Yeah, it's a nice little town. A lot of South Africans. A poos load of South Africans in Milton Keynes. Still around the same area. Um, I don't like I don't like moving that much. I'm very much a kind of person that I like to keep my surroundings. You get to know people, get to know the area, and because England is relatively easy to travel, you know, wolves. I feel for you on that one, buddy. I actually used to work. I used to work for a charity that dealt with wolves. So I used to deal with the Black Country quite a lot. yeah, not exactly the best place in terms of crime rate. But again, if you know if you know the area, it it can be brilliant. Live in Coventry. you you aren't doing much better by going to Coventry. Um, I don't know. Every time I travel to Coventry, because I travel to Coventry quite a lot. I'm probably in Coventry 4 times a month, because of work, and I hate it. Like that magic roundabout that you guys have is just is frustrating. You know, if you aren't in the right lanes at the right time, you're screwed. And I don't know if it's just me, but you know, signal is just ridiculous. Absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I guess I do also kind of do. I also do see some of the worst people. You know, because I deal with the council. I deal with the Coventry Council quite a lot, so I probably am seeing a little bit of the worst. You know, the worst end of the spectrum of people. But yeah, like don't get me wrong, I love Coventry football. They are bloody brilliant. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of driving around there. But then again, I have run into a lot worse. I have run into a lot worse. Yeah, that's nice. You know, as South Africans, and I guess I'm trying. I can't exactly speak for the majority, but a lot of us that, you know, we have we love to speak with people. I don't know if that's just me or the people that I've met, but all the South Africans that I've generally met are very conversational. You know, especially if you have a couple beers, you know, sit on a braai, watch some rugby. Yeah, we can be very, very sociable people. Sometimes we can be a little bit direct. You know, some people don't like it that we can sometimes be very direct, but yeah, it is a trait. Also, you have a UFC champion. Yes, Dricus du Plessis. The guy is a monster. Absolute, absolute monster. I do love watching a bit of MMA, and the work that he's doing is just ridiculous. He's really, really making a name. He's really, really making a name for South Africans, and that is really, really nice. You know, you don't often tend to see, you know, that much coming, like serious, serious talent coming out of South Africa. But I mean, you look at the work that he put up against Sean Strickland, you know, Israel Adesanya. He's, and this is the thing, you don't realize just how big he is because obviously he cuts a lot of weight for he cuts a lot of weight for MMA, for his weight class. But apparently he jacks up like something ridiculous once he's properly hydrated. He's got food in him. Apparently he's a monster. Hi, I'm from Ireland. Hi, I'm gonna butcher your name, so I am sorry, but Diarmid Quirk. Hi, I love Irish rugby. One of my favorite kinds of rugby. Is cricket loved in South Africa? Yes, cricket is one of our national sports. This is a part of growing up in South Africa, right? So as kids, you are literally barefoot on the streets playing with everyone on the road. If you are not playing rugby in the fields, and oftentimes it's bloody fields with thorn bushes in them, you know, you're playing rugby on the fields, or you are, you know, you're playing cricket on the streets, you know, and sometimes if you don't have much, what you do is you take a ball and you can literally just make it out of anything. So what we used to do is we would take like some paper, some plastic, or whatever it is, we'd ball it up, and then we just wrap it with duct tape until you get yourself a nice cricket ball. Put your wheelie bins on either side, grab yourself a bat. you know I have broken a couple windows in my past, but you know all at the expense of growing up. I wouldn't change it. I'm not the biggest fan of cricket in general, like to watch it, because I just find this very boring. But to play it, I always used to love to play it. Kazmat. Oh, you see now, Kazmat, he's a different one. Kazmat is he's a scary, scary wrestler, and a lot of these people from Dagestan are very, very scary. You watch their groundwork, just how strong they are, right? And then you look at Nurmagomedov and Nurmagomedov's father, just how much of a monster he was. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Khabib Nurmagomedov's father teaching, like Kazmat and Khabib and all these Dagestani fighters. The guy was on another level, and hence Khabib and so on. So yeah, the wrestlers that are coming out of Dagestan are ridiculous. If you haven't seen, Mighty Mouse actually did a video with Khabib, and kind of testing his groundwork. Ridiculous, ridiculous. And another thing, if you haven't watched, because I watch a fair amount of MMA. Khabib, not Khabib, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, he actually did a jiu-jitsu tournament where, now, Mighty Mouse is tiny, right? He's a tiny, tiny guy, weighs barely like 100 pounds. He fought, I think it was another black belt. I think it was another black belt, was a brown belt, heavyweight MMA. Sorry, another black belt jiu-jitsu player whipped his ass. If you haven't seen it, watch it, YouTube it. Ridiculous. I'd love to go to South Africa one day. Where would you recommend going? Um, Personally, I would say go Cape Town, and then if you have the time, take the garden route, right? The full garden route, not your shortcuts. Google the garden route in South Africa, and that is some of the most beautiful sights you're ever going to see. You could also hit up like Sun City and so on, but for me, it's Cape Town, specifically Tableview. You can have so much fun in Tableview. But there are so many different places in South Africa that you can have so much fun with. And there's another thing, especially when it comes down to Cape Town, we have one of the natural wonders of the world in literally Table Mountain. So you have two options, right? So you can either take a cable car up Table Mountain, in which case on the top of Table Mountain you have restaurants, you have everything. You can picnic, you can have so much fun there. Or you can hike it, and that's something that we used to love to do. So, get your hiking boots on, you get to see a lot of natural life, you get to see monkeys and so on, which will happily steal your food. I can remember walking up as a kid, and a monkey stole my sandwich, and I actively chased this monkey for like 15 minutes, with him just like taunting me the entire way, saying like, "Ha ha ha! I got your bloody sandwich. Chase me." Monkey was happy as shit, by the way. But yeah, so you can hike it. Takes a couple hours, but it's a really, really nice family experience. But yeah, one thing, once you are on top of Table Mountain, you go to the back side of Table Mountain. You actually see an amazing sight, which you don't tend to see in many places in the world. So it's literally where you have the two oceans meet. Now, I'm horrible when it comes down to like the names of oceans and what's the red ocean, the black ocean, Pacific, whatever the hell it is. But you can see where you have the fresh water and you see where you have the salt water collide. So what you'll find this light blue water, this dark blue water being separated just by like imagine a wave crashing, just going straight down. It's something you can actually Google as well. I think if you check like two oceans collide in South Africa, you will see that. And it's one thing to see it in a picture, to see it live, something completely different. But this is the nice thing about South Africa. You can do so much there, right? There's so much to explore. You can go to a place called Oudtshoorn, where you can go cave hunting. You can ride ostriches. You can ride camels. That there's so much that you can do. Like there's genuinely so much that you can do. Again, you just need to know where you want to. If you're an adrenaline junkie, we have the highest bungee in the world. Let me just check exactly where that is. Awesome. Oh, it was the highest bungee, something like that. Let me check. Okay, so it has since been overtaken, but it's Blokrans Bridge. It's 216 meters, but currently it is the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge in China, 260 meters. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous, people. Yeah, wherever you go in South Africa, just do your research. Do your research, and you know, you'll have fun. That's the biggest thing. You know, try not to look like a tourist, also, as most places. Just try not to look like a tourist, because otherwise people are going to rip you off. If you can get like a local guide or someone that you know from there, you'll have so much more fun just going there out of the blue. You see? This is the thing. South Africa has so much natural beauty. And if you want to go safari, you can bloody go to safari and you can have one of the best experiences in the world. It's just things are not necessarily cheap out there, right? So if you go there for food and you go there for like, you know, like basic stuff, you will have the most fun you'll ever have. But if you go there looking for like electronics or things like that, like what you get in Europe, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The prices are, mad. So, you know, I guess it also does kind of force you to live a more, I'll not say like a meaningful life, but something that's not necessarily as monetary as you would in England. Because it's a completely different lifestyle. I can remember, being in South Africa, you finishing school, playing rugby or whatever sport you're playing, and then you can practically cycle to the beach in like 15 minutes, stay there for a little bit, or staying out with your friends on the street until the lights come on, in which case you get called home. And oftentimes, if you get called home and you don't happen to come, you happen to see a plucky. If you don't know what a plucky is, so a plucky is like a big slipper that grandmothers and mothers, they have like they have like a superpower with. If they throw you with that slipper, they can they can find you around corners, and it happens to have like this boomerang action that it bloody comes back to them, because then they locking and loading and going for your second round if you aren't coming in once the lights come on. But yeah, you know, it forced you out more. It forced you out a lot more. Obviously, the weather does help. Yep, Mammy's wooden spoon. Yep, yep, yep. Pretty much similar. You know, you get to fear that. You get to fear that spoon, but I feel some people don't like it. I felt it helped balance me out, right? Because it was a it was a personality, growing. It sorted a lot of things out, you know. It set you straight. So that definitely set me straight. I'll tell you that, you know. But I don't know. Maybe it's a different generation. It's a different era. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more of an outdoors. Oh yes, too much of anything is bad. Too much of anything is bad. You need consistency. You need, you know, to break routine as well. And you know, this is the thing, especially with kids. I got four, so you can never. It's difficult because you never want to do the same thing. You never want to, limit them. You also don't want to give them too much freedom as well. Character building. Show them what's right. Make them earn what they want. Because if you make them earn what they want, they will appreciate it. You know, and there was an actor. Let me check him out. I will get his name. There we go. Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood. So I don't know if you guys know Joe Rogan. If you follow MMA, you definitely know Joe Rogan. But he had Clint Eastwood's son on his podcast, and he speaks about his father, where his father super rich, super famous, but he made him earn everything, right? He even turned down his own son to play a movie where the role was the guy's son, you know. So Clint Eastwood's son had to, you know, purchase his own first car. He worked as a delivery boy. You know, he went for his own auditions. And he actually thanks his father for that because, albeit, Clint Eastwood could have just given his son everything, and he probably would have become a spoiled brat. He developed a young adult, someone who works hard, someone who has a work ethic, and someone who wants to get the most out of life and understands values of work, of life. Things are not just given to you. You work hard for them, you appreciate them. And you know that's something that I appreciate in people as well. you know the same way I am trying to raise balanced children. I do not want them to be snobby or anything like that. Make sure they're well rounded. So yeah, my kids have chores. They do chores every single day. you know um it is what it is, but I'm raising young adults. So they'll I might be a little bit strict, but they'll thank me when they 18, 19, 20, and have to work their own jobs, have to pay their own bills. you know they'll understand it more. Well, I hope so. I bloody hope so. Do love a bit of Clint Eastwood though. follow a lot of sport. Um, I watch quite a lot of sport on a daily basis, just whatever I can get my hands on. It's mainly it's rugby, it's MMA, it's football. Not to be confused with American football. I do enjoy watching it if it's on, but I won't actively follow it. But mainly it's and football, MMA, and rugby. Not the biggest fan of cricket. I love baseball though, but not to the point where I would say, oh yeah, I know this player and that player. Whenever it's on, I'll happily watch it. Um, and same thing with ice hockey. Again, if it's on, I'll watch it, but not enough to say, oh yeah, I follow this team or support this team. Um, you know, for me, it's big three: MMA, rugby, and football. Because I mean, I grew up, I literally grew up watching MMA from the age of like, I want to say 12, where I was training jujitsu. Um, I was having Muay Thai lessons, I was learning kickboxing, but mainly I was jujitsu. And then obviously fighting with all my brothers, rolling, submitting, getting him to like stupid positions like the crucifix and things like that. And then I would say I was around 12 when I got into football, like big, big time. I got into football big, and I support Chelsea. Some people might say that, you know, that's a cross to bear, but it's mine. So, yeah. See, I love rugby because it has such a nice mixture of aggression, brutality, kindness. You know, people are lovely, especially when it comes to you know players. And this is the one thing that I hate about football and love about rugby is I just find footballers are so up their own backsides that they completely forget about the fans that they are there to watch them. You know, I don't think I've had many experiences where I've gone to a football game and footballers have sat around, spoken with people, taken their time, and things like that. Whereas with rugby players, they will happily, sit down, have a coffee with you. I literally had coffee with, players, um, just chilling in the street, not necessarily like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna meet you here, but it was more of a conversation of, you know, sitting down and, oh look, you know, it's him. You go and say, hi, can I take a picture of you? And sometimes they're not busy and they say, yeah, sit down, have a little conversation, even if it's 5 minutes, having a conversation with an idol, you know, um, it gets you into it gets you into sports. It's moments like this, especially as kids, that, you know, I find professionals, they sometimes seem to forget. They get so wrapped up in their own world that they completely forget about, that little Jimmy who idolizes them. And, sometimes it just means taking 2, 3, 4 minutes just to say hello and how are you, that can shape someone's future, like completely. Because I know meeting the beast in Tarira, ex Springbok, really, really, helped change me. Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them are. Yes, some of them can be absolute assholes. You can't speak for everybody. Some of them are absolute a-holes, but a good majority of them are genuinely nice people. Like nice people that you can literally sit down, have a coffee with, and you might not necessarily to know everything about them, but they'll have a coffee with you. You know, they'll speak with you. They're genuine people. But I also feel rugby is also very character building. Going through training, putting yourself through all that hurt, and even then, the one thing that I absolutely love, especially when it comes down to going to rugby games and things like that, is I could sit right next to you know, a rival fan. He could literally be sitting right next to me. And like I follow the Sharks in the URC. So I could literally, let's say they got the Bulls, right? A Bulls fan right next to me. The Sharks score a try. Yes, he would probably be pissed, but we would still have a beer together and we would still be able to speak. You know, when you go to a football game, you get cordoned off. Oh, if you're wearing a Chelsea shirt, you better not be sitting next to someone that's wearing an Arsenal shirt. You know, it's like I don't know. That's just me. I haven't exactly had the best experiences when it comes to football, especially in comparison to rugby. I've never had a bad experience with rugby. And in South Africa, when you go into rugby, and again, this is another nice little thing. Again, it's mainly because of South Africa, but you would go to like your local club, you watch your local team play, and then there would be that one Opa, so that one grandfather, in the corner with his braai, just like getting getting his meat cooked. You know, he's just going. If you want to bring anything, he gets it cooked for you, and you know, you give him like a couple rand to cook it for you, and you're good to go. But yeah, it's a it's a different lifestyle. Like my kid, he goes to local rugby, and you see the bonds that they build through training, you know, through school. They become better. They become more rounded people, And this is the thing with rugby. It's it's a controlled aggression. That is what makes it truly great. Controlled aggression. And this is something that you learn in MMA as well. How to control yourself, right? Because anybody can lose their temper. And in rugby, you are going to be losing your temper because people are going to be stepping on you. They're going to be doing a whole bunch. Like, if you're in the scrum, like I can remember being in school, and because back then I was a big kid, they played me as a hooker, right? Now, playing me as a hooker, what? I was like 5 foot nothing back when I was a kid. I'm not exactly graced with height, but they played me as a hooker. And I can remember being like 14, 15 years old in the scrum. I mean, I'm looking at my opposite number. This guy, he looks like he's 35 years old. He looks like he's got two kids, just chugged down a beer, got a big ass beard. And I'm thinking, how are you 15 years old? So okay, I'll get into the scrum, and the guy bloody, he releases his arm, cracks me one across the jaw, you know, and yeah, that peed me off something ridiculous. But I'm big fan in karma because later on in that game, I had my own comeuppance, and I hit him hard, like he got sent off the field hard. He wasn't very happy with me, but yeah, it's uh, it's um, it's different because you know what? At the end of the game, we stood in our line to congratulate the players, and he came to me and he said, "Well done. You know, the guy could have been peed off. He could have said all the bloody horrible things to me. He took it. Well done. Because just as he gave it, he also took it. And we left the field like that. You know, simple as that. It's left on the field. What's on the field is left on the field. Yeah, I grew a lot through. I grew a lot through rugby. A lot through rugby. So, what team? So, obviously, you say you just got into rugby just recently. Uh, is there anybody you necessarily support or like internationals that you follow? Because the name sounds like you're from Ireland. Or I could be wrong. Where are you from? Munster. Talk about Munster. I am literally watching the highlights of Munster versus Edinburgh. I actually caught a portion of the game live, but honestly, I had Munster. I had Munster to beat Edinburgh. I really did have Munster to beat Edinburgh, but Edinburgh whooped you like there's no bloody tomorrow. Like they whooped you. What was it? 29-7, something like that? 45 minutes in? I'm a big fan of Munster. Like, I follow a lot of Irish rugby. If you check on my channel, you'll see I actually do a lot in relation to rugby. Scrum was on skates. I'll give you that. But look, it was it, it was just it was diabolical. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I do a lot of Irish content. I love the way Ireland play, and especially with some of the players that they have, like Van der Fleer and Caelan Doris, and I grew up watching Peter Amani, so like the guy's a bloody bulldog, and I was genuinely sad when I heard that he was retiring. I was genuinely sad when I heard that Amani is retiring, because I grew up watching him. Watching Brian O'Driscoll just absolutely destroying people. Brian O'Driscoll breaking people's ankles. Yeah, it was. It was a shock when I heard that Amani's going to be retiring at the end of the Six Nations. But yeah, it's always fun though. I love Irish rugby, but Leinster right now. I know you're a Munster man, but Leinster are untouchable. They are untouchable. And you got to think, Leinster wasn't this dominant that many years ago. You know, you had players from like Connacht and Ulster. I mean, I think there's only like one player in the Island squad that's from Ulster, if that. I know there's Munster, I know there's Leinster, I know there's Connacht in Mac Hansen. I think, yeah, Mac Hansen plays for Connacht. I don't think there's any from Ulster actually in the Ireland Six Nations squad. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, what was it? I think it was Glasgow. Glasgow won the URC last year. I think so. Pretty certain it was Glasgow. Yeah. So last year it was Glasgow. 2023 was Munster. 2022 was the Stormers, and then the last time Leinster won was 2021, and they actually beat Munster. So, but yeah, I'm actually really intrigued to see how. Yeah, yeah, I think you are right with that. I think you are right with that. But you know what? You know what's a big part of Leinster? The big part that I find with Leinster right now is Jacques Nienaber, right? Since he since he joined Leinster, Leinster have become ridiculous, and I feel he's playing that he's playing like such a ridiculous level rugby. He's bringing that South Africa style to Leinster. And honestly, I feel this is why they've been so dominant. And then you look at Archius Neymar playing for Leinster as well. He's just improved. And then you have Barrett as well. Barrett? Like, how is that fair? Leinster are just creating like this Galacticos bloody team. Honestly, Toulouse are ridiculous. I mean, locally, I'm a Northampton Saints fan. But a lot of my content that I generally tend to do, obviously, I do content about the Saints, but it's more about Irish and, well, more specifically Leinster, uh, and then top 14 rugby. So I follow a lot of top 14s, quite possibly my favorite rugby to watch, and I follow Bordeaux and I follow Toulouse. So they are right now playing some of the best rugby about, along with Toulon. Um, but yeah, it's Toulouse are the team to beat, and I really hope we get to see Leinster versus Toulouse. I really hope we get to see Leinster versus Toulouse. That's gonna be ridiculous. Uh, yeah, unfortunately, Nina, but always, and this is the thing, because Rassi, Nina, but has been working under Rassi for so long. Even when Nina but was coaching, Rassi was, head of rugby. So, it's always been that kind of style. That's been Rassi's style, and we've seen this. We've seen this throughout. And I think it was Rassi. I'm pretty certain Rassi had a stint at Munster. Let me check just to make sure I'm not talking absolute bull. Um, because I'm pretty certain he did Munster. Yeah, and then I think he did Munster, and then he ended up leaving again. Um, but yeah, yeah. So I'm not sure if you've ever read Rassi Erasmus's book, or Johann Erasmus. It is really eye opening as to why South Africa are the way they are. Their style, the way that they play. And the one thing that I found so amazing with Rassi is, as he says this in his book. He says, "Look, I am very straight with all of my players, right? I want everybody to enjoy their rugby. I want everybody to know where they are, where they sit as well in rugby, right? But I will always ask them, do you want to start the game or do you want to finish the game? right? And that's so bloody true because rugby has always been seen as an 80-minute game, right? It's always been seen as an 80-minute game. But Rassi doesn't like to work that way. He likes to work it different, which is why we are seeing a lot of clubs and a lot of teams, molding themselves to Rassi's 7-1 split or 6-2 split. A lot of people are very unhappy about the 7-1 or 6-2 split, but you look at France; they just did a 7-1 split, having Maxime Lucu as the only back in the last game, and I think it was the Italy game, and a lot of teams are starting to develop that kind of style. And the way Rassi sees it is, look, I'm going to give you 60 minutes of giving everything, giving it your best. And then I'm going to take you off, right? So not only is it prolonging their career because they're not playing a full 60 minutes. Some of them will come off at 50 minutes, 60 minutes, unless you're a player like Jesse Creel, who will probably end up playing the entire 80 minutes. Not many players actually tend to play a full 80 minutes, right? Especially forwards. And this allows Rassi to have Bongi and Bonambi on the bench, allows players like Sia Khaleesi, Eben Etzebeth, you know, uh, Kitsi on the bench, and then come on at half time and absolutely just destroy people. Because, I mean, how scary is it to have, well, to know? Look, I've just had Bongi, I've had, all of these bloody forwards just destroying us, right, for 60 minutes straight. You're tired, you've got lactic acid build up, you don't want to get hit anymore. And then you see Ibn Etzebet come on the field, fresh and ready to just demolish and annihilate people, send them into another stratosphere. That is what you get. That is what you get. And then you're going to have players like that for the next 40, 30 minutes coming on with a completely fresh body to annihilate you, beat you down even more. How many teams are we starting to see run this the same kind of tactic? How many teams are we starting to see run similar plays? It works. It bloody works. It works. France it up against Italy. They brought on like all of their forwards on the bench immediately in the second half. What happened? 4 or 5 tries, and boom, done. Bye bye. So it's ridiculous. Absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. But hey, a lot of people don't like that though. A lot of people are upset about it. They say it's not in the sport. It's not very sporting. Yeah, that is very true. But no, I would say you do have general cover, but you don't have elite cover. You don't have cover for Kalen Doris. You don't have cover for Van der Fleer. You don't have true cover for Tyburn. Tyburn, he's handy because he can play in that 6 role, that 7 role, and that 8 role. Obviously, he's not like super, super proficient, but you can definitely see him at the 5 or that 6. You know, you don't have much like for like quality, if that makes sense. So like if you were to bring off Tyburn, you don't have someone of the same quality to bring on, if that makes sense. You know, like in terms of hooker, you guys have one of the best replacements physically possible. So with Ireland, they like to start Kelleher, which is a phenomenal player, and then bring on Dan Sheehan in the second half as an impact player, right? Um, but when we saw Kelleher get injured, we saw Dan Sheehan come in as captain up against a resurgent Wales. So, yeah, Ireland have some serious talent, but the one thing that they don't have, that South Africa does have, is quality and depth, right? And that's true quality and depth. With a lot of positions, South Africa are able to bring on like for like quality, where Ireland isn't. Example, Bundy Aki. What player do you have that can replace Bundy Aki like for like? No one. Look what happened when Bundy Aki came on for what, 20 minutes? And this is something that I always say. Bundy Aki is not playing his best rugby unless he has a broken nose, he's bleeding from somewhere, you know, it's like, you know, like he needs to have injury. Bundy Aki needs to be injured before he is playing his best rugby. You know, we saw within 5 minutes of him coming on up against Wales, he was black from the Guinness logo. He had a black eye. He broke it. I think he either broke his nose or he did something really, really bad to his nose. And you look at how much of a monster he is. You know, he was smiling. He was happier. You know, he was like a, you know, he was like, you know, a kid in a bloody candy shop. But one thing that I found out from someone that was there that they didn't show on the TV was after this, he went up to the crowd and he did a bloody war cry that sent the crowd into raptures. That is what it means to put on that island shirt. That is what it means. That fight, that desire, right? That willingness to put everything on the line. This is something that I feel Nienaber is putting into a lot of Leinster players as well, right? You look at South Africa, for instance, and this is something that all the South Africans talk about, Rassi. If you are not putting your heart into wearing that shirt, you will not play. Which is why you see all of the South Africans playing with everything that they have, whether they're winning or whether they're losing. You look at Cheslin Colby, he plays everywhere. He doesn't care where he gets to play, just as long as he plays. And he's putting 101% into everything. You look at Ebenezer, he will get trampled on, he will get his arms broken, but he will not let go of that ball, or he will be jackling until there's nothing left. Same thing with Jesse Creel. Jesse Creel is a monster. He's like that guy that just, you know, he's following you everywhere. You can't get away from him. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Oh, well, guys, it was absolutely, absolutely lovely having a chat with you guys. But I do actually need to get some sleep because I have work and I'm going to be driving a lot tomorrow. So, guys, it was lovely chatting with you. I am trying to make lives more often. If you guys do want to see rugby content, please check out my profile, check out my page, and you know, hopefully I'll catch you guys in future live streams. So please like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark, you know, and I just want to speak with you guys. So have a lovely morning, day day, evening, wherever you are in the world. And catch you in the next one. Bye.